affect your credit score. If you get an offer in the mail from um, one of these companies that say, get your free FICO score, and it's like somebody you use, a Chase card or Citibank or somebody of that nature, then you can check it there. It does not negatively affect your credit score. Only when you're applying for credit, when you're asking them to do something for you, that's when it negatively affects your credit. So those are the kinds of things that you need to look out for are then. Now, for you to get your credit report, of which you can do on a yearly basis, 12-month rolling basis, you can get your credit report for free, and it's www.annualcreditreport.com. Again, that's www.annualcreditreport.com. You can get your credit report for free there on a rolling 12-month basis from all three of the credit bureaus, and it does not negatively affect your credit score. So make sure that you know that. Don't be afraid to check your credit score if you're checking it for yourself. Do be afraid of letting a lot of people check on your credit score. I have clients that have 15, 25 different inquiries on their credit report. And if you get dinged just 2 points for every one of those, then you can knock your credit score down, 30 to 50 points. Now, if you're trying to get to a 650 so you can buy a home and your credit score happens to be 598, there's your 50 points right there where you need it to be. So make sure that you do not go out willy-nilly and let people pull your credit report. Be strategic about what you're doing. All right, so let's do this. It's halfway, a little more than halfway through the show. Let's pop into the question of the day. And before I do the question of the day, I got some shout outs. Let me do a shout out. Happy belated birthday to Norman Bacon, affectionately known as Uncle Skippy. Happy belated birthday to you. Today is actually Cynthia's birthday from Living Purpose Church. That's my church, you guys. So I want to say happy birthday to Cynthia. And then I want to say congratulations on the new baby. New baby with Jack and Sharon. Had a bouncing baby boy in the eye of the storm. They're in the eye of the storm down there in Florida, and they had a bouncing baby boy on yesterday named Winston. So congratulations, Jack and Sharon, on that. So let me jump into the question of the day. So the question of the day, which I wish I was there, comes from Mike out of Hawaii. And so Mike says, and I told you guys earlier, we had a long discussion on email, and he gave me some of his information, and that's why I decided to do the show today about myths, lies, and untruths. So Mike says, he's from Hawaii. He says, what short-term goals can I set to reach my life goal of buying a house at a great interest rate? So here's what I had to say to Mike. So Mike, first of all, that's a great question. What short-term goals can you set? So here's what you do. If you have a lower credit score, lower than 740, lower than 750, now your credit scores fluctuate. So if you're trying to get to 750, then you need to try to, shoot for a little higher than that because your credit scores will fluctuate. I mean, maybe you get to a 670 and but you don't find a home that you want for a couple of months, and then your credit score happens to fall for whatever reason. We never know sometimes why they fall, and it falls to the 650, 640 range, something of that nature. So shoot for a little bit over what your credit score, what you want your credit score to be at, so you can buy a home. But I wanted to make sure that you knew that you didn't have to necessarily set all your information when it comes to you having a 401k and things of that nature. All of those things do not negatively affect you. You need to get a good credit score so you can go ahead and buy that home. So also one of the things that you need to do when it comes to getting a good interest rate as well is to set that goal of trying to get to 650 or 670. You need to look at everything that you have. So if you have credit cards, make sure you get those credit cards down to under 30%. If you have credit cards that you haven't used in some time, if you utilize those credit cards, that actually may help you with your credit score and help you raise it a little bit. But don't go crazy with them. Again, like I've done before, just buy dinner on them. buy dinner on them, make a couple of payments, and then you'll be back down to zero if you're that close to getting to zero. So do some of those things, and that would be a good goal to have. Set your goal at 650 credit score, or say a 670, because it does fluctuate, and then you'll be able to go ahead and buy that home within no time at all. So thanks a lot, Mike. I appreciate you contacting me. I appreciate the conversation. Hit me up all the way from Hawaii. If you have questions, please contact me, 800creditscoreman@gmail.com. I will get back with you directly via whichever form you prefer. I'll get back to you directly, and then you may be the question of the day. So again, thank you very much, Mike from Hawaii. I appreciate it. If I ever make it out to Hawaii, then I'll definitely be hooking you up so you can give me the tour of the Big Island. So thanks a lot. So before I get back into the show, I talk about these myths and the lies and the untruth when it comes to the credit scoring system, I want to give the biggest shout out. The biggest shout out, you guys know, at the end of the show, I talk about Kobe, Cameron, and Carter. Well, Cameron's birthday was yesterday. My little man turned 6 years old. We're turning up today for the birthday party. So happy birthday, son. Happy birthday to you. I can't wait to kick it at the birthday party today. So let's get back into the show. So then we talked about your ethnicity. Has absolutely nothing at all to do with your credit report or your credit score, where you live, your income, and then also that checking your credit does not hurt you. It does not hurt you at all for you to check your own credit. So you'll be able to do that. So let's jump into this one about carrying a balance on your credit card. Does not help your score, or does it hurt your score? So if you carry a balance on your credit card, it does not help your score, nor does it necessarily hurt your score. You just heard the information or the advice I gave to Mike about utilizing your credit card. Here's where it hurts you. It hurts you if you have $1,000 limit and your balance is $900. That hurts you. You need to have your credit card balances at 30% of whatever your limit is. So if you have $1,000 limit, you should only be spending or hold a balance of $300 or less. And that doesn't mean that you don't ever use your, up to $800, $900, or even up to the $1,000. But where you really want to be is the sweet spot is at or under 30% on your credit cards. Now, it's great to do that overall. If you have several credit cards, it means you have, $10,000 worth of credit and you owe less than $3,000, that'll be great. But it's even better if on each card, if you had $1,000 on this one and $2,000 on that one, or whatever it is, on each card you were at under 30%. Far as your credit your credit score is concerned. That's going to get you the most bang for your buck, if you will. And so that's the advice that I give you about carrying a balance on your credit card. So some people are out there saying that it helps you to carry the balance. It does not help you to carry a balance. So don't be saying, you have to go out and spend money on a credit card. You don't have to do that. But if you have a card that's dormant, if you will, you haven't used it in a long time, then it doesn't hurt you to go ahead and utilize that card a little bit and make a couple payments and then back it off, and you'll be perfectly fine. So that's going to carrying your balances. Another thing that we need to look at is how you handle your bank account, investments, 401k, things of that nature. How you handle those things, or if you have, a 401k and a bank account and all those things, they have absolutely nothing to do with your credit score. Absolutely nothing at all. You can have or not have a bank account. You can have or not have a 401k, and your credit score will be absolutely the same. Here's where it could potentially hurt you. Now, if you have a bank account and you've overdrawn on your bank account and you decided, I'm not going back there because I don't want to pay them the money that I owe on that, potentially they'll send you to collections or get a judgment on you. So of course that'll negatively affect your credit score. But typically having one at all does not hurt your credit score, and it doesn't help your credit score at all. So you don't need to have those things. Now, like I mentioned earlier, about clients that want to buy a home. So if that's my niche where people are coming to me because they want to buy a home within the next year or something of that nature, those kinds of things, when it comes to your mortgage, when it comes to you trying to be approved for a mortgage, those things do help you. You need to have a bank account or a savings account. You've got to show the mortgage company that you've been saving money, and where that money is. It can't be in your mattress somewhere. So you've got to show that. If you have investments and you have a 401k, all those things help you when it comes down to actually getting a mortgage in itself. So that's one of the things. So then let's talk about disputes. A lot of people think, unfortunately, that if you dispute something, it comes off of your credit report. It does not come off your credit report. If you have a collection on your credit report, then it's on there, and then you dispute it, and they say, "Oh no, it's not supposed to be on there." Then that'll come off of your credit report if that's the case. But if you have a dispute on your credit report, when you initially go ahead and dispute it, then they'll take that out of the calculation, so you get a false positive, if you will. Your credit score might go up a little bit initially within the first, first, I don't know, say week to 2 weeks until they finish investigating it. But all the disputes do not come off unless they say, "Oh yeah, this wasn't supposed to be on here," and then it'll come off of your credit report. Now, if you're doing something like a collection and you're saying that the amounts are wrong or something of that nature, then collections may stay on your credit report even if the amounts are wrong. They'll come back and say, "Oh yeah, that's right, you don't owe $1,000, you actually owe $800." So they'll just make that change and it'll still stay on your credit report. Now, I did a whole show about collections and how to get those things actually removed from your credit report, because when you pay a collection off, when you pay one off, this is probably be another one of the myths. When you pay that collection off, they are not removed from your credit report automatically. So what you need to do, like I told you in that portion, is to request that you pay and they'll remove it. It's called pay for delete. At most companies, you say, "I want to pay for deletion," and then once you pay that amount, then it should come off of your credit report. So that's something that you definitely need to know when it comes to collections. Now, if you've paid a collection off and you didn't have it removed or anything of that nature, then what I suggest you do now is you go back to them and ask them, "Will you remove this from my credit report?" Especially if you've done it really recently. "Will you remove it from my credit report?" If they say no, or you can't catch them on the phone, like most of the time, once you've paid them, then I'm going to suggest that you go to the credit bureau. Well, yes, you go to the credit bureau. Go to the credit bureaus, and you dispute that particular collection. Say you don't owe it, or they agree to remove it. And oftentimes they'll contact them, and then maybe they'll agree to do it for them, since they didn't want to do it for you. So that's something that you should do when it comes to collection. Now I want to get to one other thing about your scores. Someone asked me a question about your score being locked in basically for 6 months. I thought they were talking about a mortgage and locking in a rate for a mortgage, but they were not. They were talking about, if my score is 750, then it's going to be 750 for the next 6 months. That's not the case. I already mentioned before that there is fluctuation when it comes to your credit scores. So your credit scores fluctuate, and sometimes seemingly for no reason at all. So if they're fluctuating, then that means there's not locked in at all. There's no lock-in when it comes to that, so you have to move on. Here's one thing that's really big. People think that their spouse's credit is on their credit, or if their spouse has good credit, then they have good credit. The only thing that you'll have in common with your spouse when it comes to your credit report are joint things. So if you guys went and got a home together, bought a house together, you apply for a credit card together at a big box store, in the mall somewhere, that nature, those things are combined, and so that's a joint account. But not everything that's on your wife's or your husband's credit report is on your credit report, and it's best probably sometimes to keep it that way. And that's why you guys have different credit scores as well. So that's not the case. So I'm going to post an article after the show that talks about your spouse and your spousal credit on Facebook. So I invite you guys to come there and do that. So before I get out of here, you guys, because we're down to the end of the show, I want to do the credit score kiss for today. And the credit score kiss is going to be the